X-Lock technology. Are you a fan? We'll find out. This is the Bosch 18-volt brushless 4.5-inch angle grinder, and it has their X-Lock technology. What's X-Lock technology? Well, basically it means you don't have to fiddle with spanner nuts and things like that, but we'll dive into that here in just one moment. Anyway, pretty impressive tool. It's supposed to be an 8 amp equivalent. So typically when you buy corded grinders, you buy an 8 amp, a 10 amp, a 13 amp, a 15 amp. So that's usually top of the line because obviously you can only draw up to 15 amps on a corded tool. But this, as you can see, is a cordless or battery operated tool with the X-Lock technology. Did I say that? Well, anyway, let's get started, dive in, take a closer look. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about pricing and about warranty and about accessory pricing. This is the BOSCH GWX18V-8N, and it's their 4.5-inch brushless angle grinder. I think the big kicker to this game is the X-Lock technology, which you can see located on the front here is a lift up tab, if you will, that's spring loaded. So when you lift it up and when it's engaged, you actually have to kind of pull a little bit hard, and then what you'll see is the blade actually drop out. So that's what they call their X-Lock technology. Now, if you've seen this on other grinders, like other manufacturers, they do share this technology. Well, they basically allow these other companies to use it. But the X-Lock is part of Bosch's technology, and you can see here it's ready to receive a disc. So this is what an X-Lock disc looks like. That's what the hub looks like, and you just line it up, push it down, and it locks into place. It's as easy as that. So to take it off, pull it up, and it will drop that disc out. And again, now it's prepared to receive another disc. Now, I know what you're going to say right away. You're going to say, well, the cost of these things are going to be out of sight. And that's really not the case. We've seen these accessories come way down in price, and we'll share some of that pricing with you here shortly. But very easy to use this. No spinning off a spanner nut, no getting a spanner wrench, anything like that. Just lift up on the X-Lock tab. You can see now that there is a wheel on there. Kind of wants to stop right there, and that's where it gets hard, and you just kind of pull it on up, and it drops out. Now, once it's off, that's very easy to pull on. So you're actually doing something, you know, when you're pulling it past that certain point. And again, line it up, push down, and it's ready to go. Now, you do have to be careful. Sometimes I've noticed if you like barely release this and it released the wheel, actually it reset. I have seen it to where it doesn't reset the X-Lock all the way, but as long as the center is sprung up, then it's ready to receive this disc here. Line it up and push it down. Now let's talk about the grinder a little bit other than just the X-Lock. This is a brushless motor. It's an 8 amp equivalent, which is, I would say, middle of the road grinder. Bosch knows how to make tools. It's not like they can't make a 13 or 15 amp grinder. They do that as well. But this is kind of that middle of the road cordless grinder meant to replace that 8 amp corded model. And this is a slide switch. So you'll see when I push this on, it's going to lock into place. So when I slide that switch up and lock it in, and then I can quickly just touch the back side of it to turn it off. I'm not noticing a blade break on there. Kind of slowly coming to a stop. So it's just slowly coming to a stop on its own. So no braking going on in there on this grinder. Pretty typical. The handle, the auxiliary handle here can be switched from either the right-hand side or the left-hand side. There's not a center option, so you can't put it right there on the top, but right and left is no problem. And then for changing the guard or changing the location or the placement of the guard, very easy. You have a button right here, and so once you push that down, we can turn this whatever way we want to. And we can get a better look at that if we take this off. And you can see that tab right there. And you can see all the different indexing locations as well. So it will actually lock in those places, or you can turn it around wherever you need to. or turn it all the way around 180 degrees and then be able to pull that off. Same thing, put it back on, turn it around, and it's going to lock that in place. You'll see here on the back of the tool, we have some stainless steel mesh that's going to keep all that particulate when we're grinding or cutting out of the brushless motor, which is what we need. So basically, the fan technology in here is drawing that air in through here. Here's the intake here. So it's drawing it in through here, pulling it down the body to cool all the electronics and the motor, and then exiting up here on the front of the tool. So you can see these ports right here. That's where that air is exiting the tool. You can easily feel that air coming out of here, so it's pulling a lot of air across that, cooling everything while it's also filtering that air. Now I'm running the 18 volt 8 amp hour core battery. It's part of their Pro Factor series. So this is a beast of a battery, not size-wise, but as far as output-wise. We're getting 144 watt-hours out with this battery. So good capacity with still a small footprint and fits well on this grinder. And any grinder you use that's cordless, you're going to need some decent battery capacity. It's just a very battery intensive tool. When you go to use an angle grinder and you're grinding on metal or cutting metal, it's going to be very power intense and drain batteries quickly. We get pretty typical ergonomics on here as well. Nice smooth handle, rubber overmolding, so very easy to hold this, and the switch is in a good location. However, it is kind of set up for a right-hander for sure, so even though the handle will go on either side, the switch is really meant for that right-hander because there's not a left-handed switch. But if you're left-handed, you can start it and then move your hand wherever you need to. Now, looking at size of this tool from the front to the back, you're looking at about 14 inches with the battery, and then across the head of the grinder at about 3 inches, not counting the guard. More importantly is probably going to be weight. So getting an idea of what it weighs. And so with the battery, 6 pounds, 2.5 ounces. Here, we'll stand this up. Yeah, 6 pounds, 2.5 ounces with the 8 amp hour battery. We'll weigh it without. So 4 pounds, dead on 4 pounds. And that's with a blade on it with no battery is 4 pounds. So 4 pounds plus whatever battery you like to run. So pretty light tool for the amount of work that it can get done. Now the cool thing about the X-Lock technology is not that just you can change your grinding wheel, but let's say instead of a grinding wheel, let's say we've got a cutting wheel on here. So let's say we got a cutting wheel on, we're making our cuts and then we're done cutting and we want to change that wheel out. That wheel could get pretty hot, you know, on the edges. It'll get 130, 140, 150 degrees easily, probably even closer to 200 on some of these carbide discs. So to change that out, I don't need to grab the blade at all. I can just lift up, grab my sanding disc, my flat disc, put it on here, and now I'm ready to go sanding. And then if I wanted to change that out, maybe I want to go to a wire brush and go to a wire cup, or I can go to more intense with a twisted wire wheel. Of course, that guard's not going to handle that, so we'll go back to the cup here. And now I can go to my cup. So very easy to change different wheels based off of what type of work you're going to be doing. And one thing to notice, as I mentioned, is you'll see that is not a BOSCH accessory. That's a Makita accessory. That's a Makita accessory. So Makita's using the X-Lock technology, but any of the wheels will work on the BOSCH X-Lock grinder because it is their technology. Okay, we got the X-Lock grinder. I've got a cutting wheel on here, so we're going to make a cut or two here in this 1/4 inch thick steel plate. So definitely not an easy cut through 1/4-inch plate, but it's going to handle that no problem at all. Obviously, you're going to wear a wheel pretty well, but as far as the grinder, able to handle it. And look at all the trash that this thing is filtering. By the way, all that dust, the majority of that is probably that abrasive wheel just wearing away. So it's not just metal that you need to filter, but also the particulate that's coming off your cutting tools as well. And you can see what that what that mesh guard is doing. And by the way, you can pull these out, blow them out, and clean them up as well, which you should do from time to time. Now we'll change that out. We'll take the Bosch X-Lock grinding wheel, change it out. Even change our guard a little bit. There we go. So you'll see in an 8-amp grinder like this, an 8-amp equivalent, it's definitely going to get work done. At the same time, if I really wanted to bear down on this, I can stop this tool. So you can see if I really lean on it, I can stop it, which is pretty typical of any 8-amp grinder. Your 13-amp, 15-amp grinders, those are really tough to stop. They have tons of power. But don't think when you get a cordless tool, regardless of what size, that it's just going to be the most powerful grinder in the world. That's not what this is supposed to be. It's an 8-amp equivalent. So will it get work done? Absolutely. You know, if I need to put a bevel on 1/4-inch steel, can I do it? Yes. If I routinely work with 1/4-inch plate all the time, would I be using a grinder like this? Probably not. For kind of checklist items, absolutely great idea. And then again, if I wanted to change this out and change this cut brush, that's when I can do plenty of cleanup, clean the rust off, polish up the metal. And that's going to work great for that. I know the very first question that's going to be asked in the comments is going to be, yeah, but how much are the accessories? Or it's going to be a statement like, no thanks, I'm not going to pay that much for accessories, because they just think, oh, since there's a different hub on here, it's not just a standard hull, that they're going to be really expensive. And I think that was the case when they first got released. And some of the accessories may be a bit more, but when you look at things like grinding wheels and cutting discs, like I saw a 10-pack of X-Lock cutting discs, so abrasive blades, 4.5-inch abrasive blades, there was a 10-pack for 16 bucks. So you're looking at $1.60 a wheel. Now, you'll pay more than that when you go to the big box store and buy the cheapy cutting disc. Now, maybe at your welding supply place, you may get it for about that much. But again, that's pretty much apples to apples as far as pennies go anyway for a cutting disc. And we've seen the same with some of the flat discs as well as the typical grinding wheels also. Now, some of the rare stuff that's X-Lock may be still a bit more expensive, but we think the more this comes out, the more we'll see that come down and kind of catch up with the low cost of your typical Arbor accessories as well. And the fact that Bosch is sharing that technology with other manufacturers should again drive down the cost of those accessories because they'll be more plentiful and easier to make as well. So price on the grinder, if we look at the grinder, $139 for the bare tool, not a bad price whatsoever, and you get a 3-year warranty with it. Performance-wise, great performing grinder. There is no blade break on it or any wheel break on it, so it's not going to, you know, stop on its own or slow down on its own. It's just going to let gravity kind of slow that down. But again, pretty typical in a grinder anyway, so you got to be cognizant and be careful of that. Very easy to move the guard around. Power is there, right on par with an 8-amp grinder. Can you stop it? I showed you, you can definitely stop it just like I can stop about any grinder, but it just depends on how much you're laying down on it. But could I put a bevel on that 1/4-inch? Absolutely. It's not a problem to do that. Very easy grinder to work with, has the performance to get things done. We'll have a link in the description, and also keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, as always, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.